Ankit, this weapon that we see here on our screens, which is wrapped in a tape, looks like a shotgun, and from the latest information of the police, we believe it was a homemade weapon.
Well, one of the questions that is being asked in the aftermath of assassination of Prime Minister Abe is that how come in a country like Japan, which has one of the lowest gun violence related cases, remember only 0.6% out of 100 possess a gun in Japan. So the question is being asked, how can somebody carry out a high profile political assassination in the middle of a city of a former Prime Minister of Japan using a gun? So what we have done is we are now using the visual evidences that we have collected by local media, and we are trying to understand what kind of gun was used in this incident. So this is the accused or the person who shot the former Prime Minister of Japan, and this is the weapon that was used. Now what we have done is we have broken this one piece of evidence that we have and try and understand what kind of weapon this is. So, if you see this is a sample of the pipes that has been used, and that they have now been covered, if you see here, by duct tapes. So, it looks like some kind of pipe gun. Now, there is a term for it. It's called a zip gun. If you read the history of how these kind of amateur guns are made, there are history of these kind of guns being used all over in prisons across Europe and USA, where iron pipes have been used with explosives such as match boxes, match heads, electric bulbs, these kind of things. Now, if you see this part, these are the metal pipes which have been covered by duct tapes. This is the wooden block to provide stability, and if you focus on this part, this appears to be a lithium battery. This is very important. Why? Because this battery is now used to provide detonation, to provide ignition, because there is no other trigger. So this is used as a trigger to fire. Remember, all this can be, if you search over internet, this is also called an internet gun. How to make such kind of guns, the information related to that is available all over internet. So it's a new threat, it's a new kind of threat that is now being, faced by security agencies, where anybody who has some kind of experience, like this person who has a history of serving in the armed forces, can actually assemble a gun. Now the flip side of these kind of amateur guns is that they are not very accurate. They cannot be fired from a very large distance. That's why he had to get extremely close to the former Prime Minister, and this is how probably what we believe the former Prime Minister of Japan has been assassinated.
You know, Ankit, at this point, questions could be asked whether this man who's an ex-soldier could have already received training. Since he was a part of the army, he would have known very well to come out with a handmade gun of this nature. This could have been helpful. A training from the army itself could have been largely helpful for him to pull this off.
Well, the fact that he comes from an armed forces background should definitely help. I'm sure these kind of details will come up during the course of the investigation. But what we are trying to show here is that this is one of the first cases when an amateur gun, or what we are calling as an internet gun, is being used to carry out a high-profile political assassination. Of course, he must have has some kind of information. But if anybody even Googles how to make a zip gun on internet, they will find enough information, and with enough motivation and the kind of skill set he must have had while his tenure in the armed forces, he must have, those kind of experiences must have helped. I'm sure these kind of information will come up while as the investigation progresses. But what we can conclusively say at this point is that this is not an automatic gun, this is not a factory produced gun, this is not a 3D printed gun that many people on the internet are writing about. This looks like, and what we can, what we're showing here is, this looks like a homemade zip gun, also called the internet gun, which appears to be, made at home with raw materials such as simple pipes, duct tapes, explosives, etc.
But, it's shocking and surprising how the man has actually managed to pull it off. He got his target right on point. He managed to shoot Shinzo Abe. right in target, and unfortunately he's dead today, but he's pulled off this assassination with such ease.
That's where the proximity matters. You know, a question is being asked always whenever there is a VIP movement or a VIP or VVIP program is held, that why do you need such parameters? In India, if a high-profile event is happening, you will see there are 2, 3, 4 layers of security. This is precisely the reason why during high-profile setup, high-profile events, there are at least 2 or 3 parameters, security parameters, at least 2 or 3, so that even if somebody manages to sneak in with a weapon such as this, such as a zip gun, they will not be able to, in that case, target the victim. In this case, however, we have seen in the local media that the assassin managed to, get very close. He had a clear shot, and what also makes it interesting is that most of the zip guns that you see, they are usually single barrel guns. This is a double barrel gun. He has used 2 pipes, so that must include some kind of expertise. And what follows is that, of course, the local security agencies, the investigative agencies will, will carry a thorough investigation. The forensics will get involved. But what it appears right now is that the proximity that this person managed,
really helped.
That really helped.